Hey everybody, my name's Ryan, and here at eTrailer we install, test fit, and review a lot of different parts. That way we could try to answer any questions those of you might have. And that's exactly what we're doing today on our 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee. We're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the Aries AeroTread Running Boards. So running boards are a pretty straightforward upgrade. Many of our customers say they get them primarily for either one or two reasons. First one being, it's obviously going to help you get in and out of your Jeep a little bit easier. So you're going to have a bigger footprint here, a little bit lower to the ground, so whenever you open up your door, you have a nice wide surface you can step on it and get in and out of your Grand Cherokee. Another big reason being the way they're going to look. So these Jeeps really do accept accessories very well, and when you have these running boards on, kind of adds a nice flair, touch of style to your Jeep. So just kind of give you an example how these work. So we're getting ready to hop inside, open up our door. You can see, as opposed to having to lift our foot way up here to get inside, we're only going to have to get it a little bit off the ground. And you can see about half of my foot fits on it. It would be nice to have maybe just a little bit more. These are 5 inches wide. Some of our customers said they wish they were 6 inches, and I could see why they say that. But it's still going to give you plenty of space and really do a good job helping you out, especially if you're like me. I tend to get into my driver's seat with my left foot, so you can kind of angle it, get a bigger footprint, and easily hop right in. And it's the same thing when you're done taking your trip and you're ready to get out. And it's always nice too, just to have a little platform there where maybe in the winter when you have a bunch of snow on your boots, kind of gives you a spot to rest your feet and kick all that snow or maybe even mud and dirt off your shoes. And since the running boards are full length, they're going to come all the way back. That way when your passengers in the back, say your kids or your grandkids, are ready to hop in, it's going to make life a little bit easier on them as well. And as I mentioned before, a lot of people really like the style of these, and I kind of do too. I think it really puts off a factory-like option. Kind of contours nicely and runs along the length of our Jeep. It has this nice pattern on the top, and that little bit of chrome really does help make everything pop. It kind of ties in with the Cherokee lettering, our door handle, and our other chrome accessories. So it's not too much, just the right amount. Now, I will say, if you are not a fan of the chrome, there's also a black version available as well. So you have a couple of different styles to choose from. So these are going to have a 500-pound maximum weight capacity, which does make sense. That's a pretty high number, and that's because these are very well constructed. You can tell they're put together very nice and should last quite a long time. But other than that, at the end of the day, really nice set of running boards. Not only are they going to help you get in and out of your Jeep, but they're going to look pretty good too. Now, as far as the installation goes, believe it or not, it's actually really simple. There's no drilling required or really no modifications at all. These more or less just kind of bolt right up into position. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and put them on together now. To begin our installation, we're going to be here on the driver's side of our Jeep, and we're going to start at the front. I kind of like to lay out all my parts and pieces, and that way it'll just make the installation go a little bit easier. So all of the brackets do have a specific place they need to go, and they're all stamped too. So if you look right there, you can see DSF, so driver's side front, and they're all going to have that specific orientation. So the center will be driver's side middle and driver's side rear, for example. Same deal with the passenger side. That being said, we're going to have one of these T-bolts that we're going to use, a plastic retainer, a larger nut, larger flat washer, and a larger split lock washer. Then we're just going to have one of these smaller bolts, 2 smaller flat washers, a split lock washer, and a smaller nut. We're going to have 2 of those. So that's going to be the hardware combination for every one of our brackets. So now to get our bracket into position, our driver's side front, you can see right here, there's going to be a rubber plug. We need to pull that out of the frame. That just pops out. Then what we can do is take one of our larger T-bolts. That's going to slide inside of the frame. And then to prevent it from kind of coming out or moving around, we can take one of our plastic retainers, just kind of push that around the threads, and that'll help keep it in position. With that being said, we can then take our bracket, slide it over that bolt. Then we're going to take our larger washer, get it over that bolt. Sometimes it's a little tricky to kind of get everything lined up. Just take your time. Take our larger split lock washer. Get that going. If that retainer falls out like it just did, not really a huge deal. Doesn't have to be in there, it's just kind of there to help you out. And then we can just take our larger nut and get that started. And we're just going to get this hardware hand tight for now. And then what we can do is come to our pinch weld, and you can see that the 2 holes in our brackets line up with 2 of the factory holes in that pinch weld. And what we're going to do is take our small bolt and a flat washer, push it through, take a flat washer, put it on the back side, followed by a split lock washer and a hex nut, and we're going to get this started hand tight as well. And it's the same thing for this attachment point right here. Same exact hardware combination, and again we'll just get this started hand tight. So now we can do the same exact thing for our driver's side middle bracket. If you look up, you can see there's our 2 holes in the pinch weld, and again there's going to be a rubber plug that you can pull out. And just to kind of give you a reference, this is pretty much straight down below our driver's side door handle. So just to kind of give you a reference point. And again, same exact thing for the driver's side rear. So just in front of our back tire, you can see these 2 holes. Going to line up with the bracket. And again, we're just going to have another plug that you're going to pull out. Now that we have all 3 of our brackets loosely installed, we can grab our running board itself. Now these are size specific. Quick way to tell, make sure you have the right side, is that you want the pattern on the top here, these arrows, you want them pointing towards the front of our Jeep. So with that being said, to carefully flip them over, and if you look right here, there's going to be 6 bolts. And what we need to do is remove the nuts, take off the split lock washer as well, and the flat washer. And we want to hold on to these, just set it to the side for now, because eventually these bolts are going to pass through our brackets, and that hardware that we just took off is what we're going to use to secure the running board to the bracket. So once I remove that hardware, what you can do is actually slide that bolt and roughly line them up with the holes in your brackets here. So I did that for all 3 mounting locations. And what we'll do is grab our running board and lower it into position, trying to make sure that the bolts in the running boards line up with the holes in our bracket. So what you want to do now is center the running board, or position it how you want it. And once we have it in that position where we need it to be, we can then come back underneath and get our hardware and loosely secure it. So we'll take that hardware that we removed a moment ago and get it back in place hand tight. So these are flat washer, the split lock washer, and our hex nut. So now that we have all of our hardware loosely installed, we can come back and tighten it all down. So what you want to do is tighten down the hardware that holds the brackets to the body of our vehicle first. And once all those are tight, we can come back and run down all the hardware that holds the actual running board to the bracket itself. For these larger nuts, you can use a 17mm socket. And for the smaller bolts here on our pinch weld, we can use two 10mm wrenches to tighten them up. Then we can grab a 13mm socket and tighten down the nuts that hold the running boards to the brackets. Then we went ahead and repeated that same exact process over here on the passenger side. Now there is one little detail that I want to mention. On the passenger side here, you're going to have this little wiring shield, and that kind of gets tricky to get behind some of these smaller nuts and bolts. So there's going to be 4 10mm nuts kind of along there. So the nuts are moved, but you just pull that off, those 4 studs, and you're able to drop this down and get a lot more room to work. And for the center bracket as well as the front bracket, you're going to want to put the bolts in the other way. So what I mean by that is you're going to take the heads of the bolt and run them from the center of the vehicle facing the outside. That way you have enough clearance to reinstall this wiring cover here. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the Aries AeroTread Running Boards on our 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee.